Shabbat Shalom. It was 5:30 in the morning. My husband and I were sitting in our favorite places on the fishing boat, watching the shores of Plymouth recede into the distance under the beautiful rising sun as we headed out to our favorite fishing spot for a day of joy. We were visiting with the captain and chatting, and after a while, Solomon, my husband, got up and said, I think I'm going to pull out some breakfast. Do you want anything? No, I'm good. So we walked over to our stuff, dug around for a while, pulled out a banana, and stood up, at which point the captain turned white. "Is that a banana?" he asked. "Yes," said Solomon. "This is a banana." The captain said, "Do you need that banana?" At which point Solomon said, well, it was going to be my breakfast, but I suppose I don't need it. The captain replied, "Man, I'm sorry, but I can't let you have a banana on board." "Seriously?" said Solomon. "Seriously," he said. He started turning the boat around. "What are you doing?" "We have to go back. We have to take the banana back to shore." "Are you kidding? We've been traveling for 20 minutes. "Sorry, man," picks up his phone. "Yep, we're coming in, we're coming back. Yes, I know, we just left. No, we've got a banana on board." "Yes, they did not know about the banana." "No, I understand. No, but we have to come back. Man, can you help me out? We're going to get back. I just want to turn right around. If we leave it on the dock, can you take care of it?" "Thanks, man." Puts the phone down. Solomon and I are looking at each other like we're in an alternate universe. What is going on? Drive back. When we get there, the captain ushers Solomon to take the banana off the boat and put it on the dock. 20 minutes later, we're again sitting in our favorite seats, watching the shores of Plymouth recede, with just one lonely banana on the dock. We let it sit for a while, and then Solomon and I turned to the captain and asked, "What's the deal with bananas?" He says, "You just don't bring bananas on fishing boats. You're lucky I'm not like other captains. You know, some captains won't even let you have banana boat sunscreen." So, okay, but why? I don't know, man. It's just it's old superstition. You just don't bring bananas on boats. I don't know. Google it. So we look it up. Turns out, in the 1700s, when banana transit was first becoming a thing, there were all these rickety wooden boats that were racing from Central and South America up north to deliver bananas before they rotted. And these boats experienced a very dangerous journey. First of all, they were going as fast as they possibly could because, as you know, bananas ripen quickly. And they wanted to be able to deliver the bananas so they would be edible, so they were racing, and that meant that they often would wreck. And when they wrecked, and when they sank, all that would be left behind was a giant pile of bananas floating in the water. I'm not making this up, it's real. Additionally, when they would go on these trips, they would bring food for the journey, right? It was not a short journey, it was a long journey, and they would pack all this produce in the hold along with the bananas. But bananas release ethylene gas. And so as they were traveling, they would find that their food would spoil so much more quickly than on any other journey. And they would try to supplement their diet by fishing, but because they were going so fast on these rickety boats, even sailors who were usually fabulous fishermen on any other boat would not be able to catch any fish. So bananas on board meant high risk. It meant a high likelihood of wrecking. It meant likely starvation. It meant extreme bad luck. Thus the ban, no bananas on the boat. But in today's world, that makes no sense. I mean, if you're bringing a banana for breakfast on a fishing boat, it's not as though you're on some rickety contraption racing to get there before the bananas spoil. You don't have extra produce in the hold that you're worried about spoiling. And you can make the boat go slow enough to catch fish. I mean, that's the whole point of going on a fishing boat. So why is it that this has persisted? Why is there still this ban on bananas? Recently, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Elizabeth Kolbert wrote an article in The New Yorker titled, "Why Facts Don't Change Our Mind." In this article, she cited all sorts of interesting studies, including several that were performed at Stanford in the 70s. For example, in one of these studies, they took a whole bunch of participants and they gave them an assessment. Half of the participants, when they finished that assessment, they turned to them and said, "Wow, you are just amazing. You did phenomenally well on this assessment. Great job. You are way better than most participants we've ever seen before." Half of the participants they turned to and said, "Sorry, you did really poorly on this assessment, like worse than everybody." Then, after a little while, they came back and they said, "We want you to know, everything we've told you, totally bogus. Your scores were made up. This isn't a study about how well you can objectively do on this assessment. This is a study about how well you feel you did subjectively. So, knowing that everything we've told you is false, how do you think you did?" When they asked the people that they had told were exceptional, they said, "I think I did really well." And when they asked the people that they told did really poorly, they thought they had done really poorly, even though they both knew objectively that whatever feedback they had gotten was false. Researchers said, even after the evidence for their beliefs has been totally refuted, people fail to make appropriate revisions in those beliefs. Even when we know the facts are totally false, even when we know there is new information, we have a really hard time adapting our brains. It's especially true when it comes to our own self-perception. How many of us still remember the taunts from elementary school or middle school? The hurtful things kids would say. How many of us still think of ourselves as that child who can't make friends, or as that child who's not good at math or not good at science, even though we have data to prove that's not the case? Or in terms of relationships, how many of us have had a bad relationship? How many of us have finished a bad relationship, and instead of evaluating that relationship, instead of thinking back to what were the things that didn't go well, what did I do to contribute, what did they do to contribute, how could I do better in the future, we internalize the hateful things our partner said. We internalize this idea, not that things went poorly then, but that we are bad at relationships. Turns out changing our mind isn't just about recognizing new data. Changing our mind takes consciousness. It takes a willingness to change what we've done and how we've understood the world around us. It takes a determination to interrogate our assumptions, to interrogate our experiences, and to make different choices moving forward. I think that's why when God picks Abraham, God's first instruction to him is Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha, God says, and it's such an interesting and paradoxical introduction. Lech Lecha. Go to yourself. Lech Lecha. Go to your core. Get clear about who you are. Get clear about what's true. Get clear about where you are. And Lech Lecha. Go from your land, from your birthplace, from your father's home. Go from all the patterns and paradigms. Go from your daily activity. Leave all the things you used to do and the ways you used to do them, and embrace a new reality. Embrace a new reality where your mind is open for change. God knew that Abraham might be the perfect covenantal partner. that Abraham had the capacity to bring forth Judaism in a new way, but only if he had the capacity to change his mind and to be open to new possibilities. It's not just Abraham that needs to hear that instruction. All of us need to hear this call of Lech Lecha. Where are we? What are the ways we think about ourselves that are not true? How can we get out of our daily patterns and paradigms? How can we create enough space for ourselves to gather a new perspective? I want to tell you about someone I dearly love. Lily Worthen was ostensibly living the dream. She graduated from college. She went and traveled all through South America, became fluent in Spanish, had all these amazing adventures, came back, got her master's degree in education, and landed a great job in Colorado at a local school. She had fabulous friends and a beautiful apartment and was following the career she'd always dreamed about. The only problem was that Lily wasn't happy. She found herself feeling anxious after going to work, depleted. And even though by every external measure she had found success, she felt unfulfilled. So Lily decided to make a radical change. She quit her job without a plan for what to do. And she decided she was going to try to explore, try to find something that would fill her with joy, try to find a vocation that would draw upon her deepest passions and allow her to feel fulfilled. As part of this path, she decided she was going to interview people that she knows who she feels like found their way, who have cool lives and cool careers and interesting things to say, and maybe if she interviewed them, and maybe if she asked them how they did it, that would help her to find her own path. And she didn't just interview them, she decided she would create a podcast which premiered last week called Open Explorations, featuring these interviews. Lily isn't just someone I love, she is my cousin. And I have watched her from the day she was born. And I've always admired her, but never more so than when I heard this premiere of her podcast. She was brilliant. It was like she uncovered this essential part of herself. She's so good and so clear. It was like Kristen Tippett, except it was Lily Worthen. I mean, she's going to be a name. And all of this became possible only because Lily was willing to take a radical leap of faith. Because Lily was willing to take the time to get clear about who she is. And she was willing to set aside what she was doing and what she had always done to discover what she could do. Truth is, in life, we have two choices. We can live lives that are dictated by the ghosts of our past, constantly driving the boat back to the dock to leave bananas behind. Or we can live like Abraham did. Lech lecha. We can find our core and choose to make different choices. Shabbat shalom.